Disney makes Life Day come early by punching the hyperdrive with a dozen new Star Wars movies and shows.
There's tons of possibilities to explore. It is the building of a revolution.
On this IMD Brief, we break down how Vader, Ahsoka, Kenobi, and all our new Jedi pals will fit into an expanding Star Wars galaxy. Let's run down these new titles by placing them in the greater Star Wars timeline, and begin farthest back in the past, about 200 years before Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, for The Acolyte. Russian doll creator Leslie Headland will run the new series about the High Republic, an era that will be further explored in books, comics, and games. The show is described as a mystery thriller set in the period when Jedi ruled the roost. Perhaps a thrilling mystery of how the Jedi lost that roost.
Afraid, are you?
No, sir.
See through you. We can.
Next in the timeline is The Bad Batch, which should take place just after Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, and is a spin-off of the Clone Wars animated series. Coming in 2021 from creator Dave Filoni, the show centers on Clone Force 99, aka The Bad Batch, who are genetically modified clone troopers with various special skills.
The cavalry has arrived!
Then we find ourselves in the years 10 years after Sith, but before Episode 4, A New Hope, for Obi-Wan Kenobi. Ewan McGregor returns to his role from the prequels to explore what happens in that gap, and whatever it is, it ages him terribly.
I'm getting too old for this sort of thing.
Helmed by Mandalorian director Deborah Chow, Obi-Wan Kenobi also brings back Hayden Christensen to play Darth Vader. We have to assume he won't be dubbed and behind the helmet the entire show, so we can expect flashbacks or Jedi mind communication so that Christensen can step out of the suit and into his trusty old robes.
This is where the fun begins.
Andor will presumably occur around that same era as Kenobi, since it must take place before the titular character's calamitous mission in 2016's Rogue One, which runs right up to the opening scene of A New Hope. Starring Diego Luna as Cassian Andor, the Rebel Alliance officer who steals the Death Star plans, the series will be overseen by Rogue One writer Tony Gilroy, with an all-star cast of Stellan Skarsgård, Adria Arjona, Fiona Shaw, and Denise Goff.
Everything I did for the rebellion.
The Lando series should also land somewhere in this period if it's to star Solo's Donald Glover as the young Calrissian. But if it's Billy D. Williams returning to his original trilogy role, Lando could take place after Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. Or both get cast, and we jump all over that timeline. Regardless, Dear White People creator-director Justin Simien is developing the series that could explore the Sith hunting mission that Lando took with Luke.
Well, let's find out.
Now we travel about 5 years past Return of the Jedi for The Mandalorian, which is naturally getting a Season 3, plus 3 spin-offs. Unfortunately, none is centered on the show's breakout star, Baby Yoda, aka Grogu. At least not yet.
He means more to me than you will ever know.
Us too. One half of the Mando Brain Trust, Dave Filoni, will write and helm Ahsoka, while Jon Favreau will executive produce. Filoni created Ahsoka Tano for his animated series The Clone Wars, then brought her into live action for Mandalorian Season 2 with a little help from Rosario Dawson. She'll star in the series that follows her search for the evil Admiral Thrawn to rescue Jedi Padawan Ezra Bridger.
A Mandalorian and a Jedi? They'll never see it coming.
But we kinda did. The next Mando spinoff set in the same timeline and from Filoni and Favreau is Rangers of the New Republic, which follows former rebels trying to restore order in the galaxy after defeating the Empire in Episode 6, Return of the Jedi. The show builds to a climactic crossover event that sounds a little like an Avengers movie, in the best way possible.
Avengers!
Assemble.
Now, we'll avoid any major spoilers connected to this third spin-off series that was announced in an after-credits scene in The Mandalorian Season 2 finale. Coming December 2021, The Book of Boba Fett will star Temuera Morrison as Boba and Ming-Na Wen as Fennec Shand, and it'll apparently follow the bounty hunter taking his former boss Jabba's throne, quite literally, as Boba the Hutt.
I'll put on a good show.
Zooming right past the latest trilogy and The Rise of Skywalker, we arrive at an upcoming Star Wars film due for 2023. From Wonder Woman director Patty Jenkins, Rogue Squadron takes its title from a series of video games that began in 1998, but Jenkins promises an original tale about those brave X-Wing aviators.
They've taken enough of us. Now we take the war to them.
As Yoda explains, always in motion is the future. So these next few titles are harder to place in the grander timeline, but writer/director/IG-11 voice, Taika Waititi, has plans for a mysterious Star Wars movie that just might involve the dawn of the Jedi.
That was unpleasant. I'm sorry you had to see that.
Plus, there's a 10-part anime series of short films called Visions that will bring diverse cultural perspectives to Star Wars, as well as a C-3PO and R2-D2 film called A Droid Story that combines animation and visual effects.
Well, I'm quite certain I would remember if I had a best friend.
You can add all these upcoming titles to your watch list. And for more Star Wars stories and trending tales, stay glued to imdb.com/imdbrief.